Full time here at Park Sean McDermott, where it has finished Mayo 220, Kildare 18 points. Kildare relegated to Division 2, while Mayo will be in a league final next weekend where they take on Kerry. Colin Boyle, former Mayo footballer, you were watching the game for Off the Ball today. How impressed were you with your county today?
I was impressed with both teams, to be honest. I thought it was a brilliant game of football. Some absolutely quality scores. You know, you can just tell by the score, and obviously the final scoreline 220 to 18 points. Some super scores, great bits of skill throughout the game. You know, from the other side of that, I suppose defensive structures and defensive setups and some one-on-one tackling might have been left a bit desired at one stage, but you'd have to admire some of the scoring out there. It was absolutely unbelievable for Mayo. You know, such a contrast to last week. You know, everyone talking about Mayo, all of a sudden no forwards. You know, only kicked 9 points last week, 1 point from play. Out here, I think we're after hitting 218 from play and two marks on top of that, so 220 in overall. So a week makes a big difference.
What was it about the forwards today that just clicked? Like again, Jason Doherty, 5 from play, fantastic goal, and Jack Carney, 3 from play. But what for you was making that forward line click today?
What made it click was straight away, first of all, you've James Carr, Jason Doherty, Ryan O'Donoghue. All of a sudden, you've a bit more physicality in there. You've a bit more pace. You've something a bit different. Something we might have been lacking maybe in the couple of weeks before that. I know Jason Doherty played last week, but it was his first game back after another long layoff. So it just gave them a small bit of something different. You know, they were winning the ball close to the Kildare goal. They looked really, really sharp. And at that, the quality of the ball going in was superb as well. The link up play, one was winning the ball out around the 45 straight away. They were looking up, turning, looking for someone else inside. And there was loads of little interplays like that right throughout the game. Obviously, Jason Dock probably led the line unbelievably, 5 points in play. That's a brilliant return for any forward, obviously, and that's super for him going into next weekend, obviously, into a league final. Ryan O'Donoghue, though, he just, everything he did out there was just absolutely class, absolutely magic. Just the way he even wins the ball, uses his body. You know, he's not the biggest man in stature, but the way he uses his body to win the ball, and he set up an awful lot of attacks there. He's got 1-3, but even outside of that, he set up so much more besides.
Talking about Ryan O'Donoghue there, and you did mention during the game there the way he uses his body. Like you've marked him in training, how difficult is he to get a hold of?
Yeah, look, what I said there, he's not the biggest man in the world, but he is very strong, deceivingly strong. He uses his body so well, and I think we saw it just right in front of us here for the goal chance, Jordan Flynn's goal chance. He won the ball right in front of us, but he's literally holding his man off and just holding him off with his body as he's winning that ball out in front, and the ball just literally seems to stick with him. He's brilliant hands as well, and he's always look as soon as he wins that ball, if he's out the pitch, he's always looking to turn and get to see, is there another forward inside? Is there Jason Doherty? Has he lost his man? Has James Kerr lost his man? And it's just them little interplays that were so evident throughout the game here today.
I want to talk about the Mayo midfield. Seems to be a settled midfield for the team there with with Jordan Flynn and Matthew Ruan. Do you expect to see this partnership in midfield? And what about the partnership has gelled in this league for Mayo?
Yeah, I suppose it's the one area really. There's been so many changes throughout the Mayo team, throughout the league, and different changes, especially in defence and attack. But midfield is kind of really in the last 4 or 5 games really nailed down as Jordan Flynn, Matty Ruan. That's going to be it going forward, bar and any injuries or anything like that. Jordan Flynn today is after hitting 1-2 there from midfield. He was probably outshunned Matty. Matty had probably one of his quieter games today. I think Kevin Feely early on, especially in the first 20-25 minutes, was probably dominating their area on Matty Ruan. But Jordan Flynn, especially there in the second half, you know, got forward for the goal. Another point as well, 1-2 in total. He does a lot of I would say, the dirty work, as in he gets back, does a lot of tackling, but he, as we saw today, he can score. He can score absolutely if things open up for him and he can move. Matty is just a freak the way he runs. If it opens up for him, he's literally going to be in on goal. But he is going to be a mark man come championship. That's the thing. So he's going to need Jordan to kind of help him and release him for a championship definitely.
We see Aidan O'Shea, week on week, his position may be changed. Padraig O'Hora came on there today and scored a point I think Killian O'Connor would have been proud of. Any Mayo forward would have been proud of. How impressed were you by his performance there today?
Park O'Hora was outstanding. Obviously, he came on in unfortunate circumstances. Brendan Harrison, getting a start here today after a long injury layoff. Unfortunately, it didn't look good for Brendan there after about 2 minutes. Stretched off the pitch, so we're hoping that that's not as serious as it looked. or Porco O'Hora coming on was absolutely outstanding. You know, he was on top of Paddy Woodgate straight away. He actually put him on the back foot, kicked a point towards the end of the first half, and then his point he scored in the first half, or sorry, at the start of the second half. Again, he picked up the ball right in front of us here, went by two men, dropped the shoulder, and kicked it over the bar. It was an absolutely outstanding. Of all the scores we saw here today, it was probably up there with one of the best. It was a super score, but it's just a general play throughout. He really set the tone there in the Mayo defence, and a super game from here. Aidan was an interesting one. We were expecting him to line out at 6. You know, that's been all the talk, and you know, obviously with Ben McCormack playing there, it was a big talking point beforehand. Where was he going to pick up Ben McCormack? He actually went up to 11, and it was Oisin Mullins that picked up Ben McCormack. But as we saw in the first half, Ben McCormack was absolutely outstanding. 4 points from play. Died a bit in the second half. I think Oisin probably did get it to terms on a small bit better. And then unfortunately for Kildare, just after the Mayo goal, he went off with an injury. So when you put the goal on top of that, it was a huge loss and a huge turning point in the game.
For you, Aidan O'Shea, is there any particular position you would like to see him settled in?
Yeah, just as a Mayo supporter, I'd just like to see him at 11. I think he offers so much there as a ball winner, even coming back to the pitch and tackling, making turnovers, but also as an out ball. You know, if you're playing the ball, if you're win the ball and you're at 6 or you're in the half back position, you look up and you see Aidan at 11. He's a great man, obviously there to be an out ball and be a link to get you up and running and get you into the attack. So for me, I'd like to see him at 11. I think that's where he's going to be. You know, like we saw earlier on. I don't think he's a 6. The midfield is fairly nailed down, so for me I think it's going to be 11, and his performance out there is absolutely brilliant as well, so I think that's going to be where we're going to see him from now on.
You had mentioned there Brendan Harrison picking up, you know, a nasty looking injury, and we do hope he is okay and gets back soon. But also Dermot O'Connor went off with an injury. How big of a blow would it be if he is missing for the Galway game coming up soon enough?
Yeah, we were talking about the league final next week. From what I've seen there, it'd be very unlikely Dermot lines out. He's been out the last couple of weeks. I don't know what was wrong with him, if it was a hamstring or not, but definitely he was running out to a kick out here at one stage in the first half, and he just seemed to pull up. That something was after pulling on him. So that obviously he went off straight away. That'd obviously be big concern going ahead to the Galway game, definitely in 3 or 4 weeks' time.
For Kildare, fantastic first half, and then the second half, Jordan Flynn's goal was probably the one that took the wind out of their sail. Their overall league campaign, what do you feel like they've learned, and are they a team now in Leinster that potentially, look, they are going down. We also know Dublin are going down to Division 2, but can Kildare go into Leinster now thinking there is chance of winning a Leinster title there?
Well, I said before the game that this is an exciting Kildare team, that it's a Kildare team that's got a lot about it, got something different about it, and it's something for the Kildare people to get behind. And after watching them out here, my views on that haven't changed, even though they're relegated. I thought they were absolutely outstanding there today. Okay, you might say they could have been a bit better defensively. They might have maybe tried and frustrate Mayo a small bit more in that regard. But they went out, they tried to take Mayo on head to head. If it suited Mayo, to be honest, it suited Kildare to a certain extent, probably suited their forwards as well, because Mayo were attacking at will from the backs as well. It was just that type of game. But look, I feel really sorry for them. I feel they're really unlucky to be relegated today. If you go through the league, they drew with Kerry, they bet Dublin, obviously. They should have beaten Tyrone, dismantled Monaghan, and obviously a really good performance here today, and they're going down. I wouldn't be awfully downhearted if I was Glenn Ryan and a Kildare supporter. I think like I said, I think there's plenty about this Kildare team, and now look at Dublin gone down as well. You know, we were starting to talk about Dublin possibly on the way back for the last couple of weeks. Okay, maybe that's not the case. It'll be interesting to see how they respond to this kind of relegation for Division 1, which is something completely alien to them. So look, if I'm a Kildare follower, I think there's an awful lot to be positive about going forward.
We have to talk about Dublin. Like, you've had great battles with that Dublin team down through the years. Are you surprised as to what we've seen with Dublin in this league campaign?
I'm surprised that obviously the start they got, they losing a couple of games. I'm surprised that they didn't finish the job today after getting 2 wins in the last 2 weeks. Obviously going to Clones is never easy, but just with the experience they have and the talent they have on show, and obviously Monaghan's kind of abject showing last week against Kildare, they obviously raised their levels big time today with Dublin coming to town, and obviously they needed the win themselves. But yeah, it is unbelievable to think Dublin playing Division 2 football next year. No Leinster team in Division 1 next year at all, which is another incredible thing to think. But Yeah, it's hard to know where to go from here. I still think they're going to be thereabouts in the championship. I know a lot of people are going to be writing them off there again. I still think come quarter-final stage, semi-final stage, you're more likely going to see Dublin there, and they're, on their day they're still going to be able to beat anyone. But there's no doubt about it. This for Desi Farrell and for the Dublin players, this will be a huge reality check of where they are at the minute.
One thing actually I want to talk about during the game we saw. Now we didn't see the incident, but it involved Paddy Woodgate and Padraig O'Hara. Paddy Woodgate down on the ground. We didn't see what happened, but obviously David Goff, the referee, did see what happened and decided to give Woodgate the yellow card. A lot of other referees probably would have let that go. Maybe would have gone to the linesman. They may not have known what happened as well, but potentially what we would have saw from referees either let it go or the two players get yellow cards. He's shown the yellow card to Woodgate, suggesting that there was play acting going on, diving, whatever it may be. It's an unusual thing to see in the GA.
Very unusual. Yeah, it came straight away. Actually, Porco was actually kicking a score, and he was running back the way. I didn't actually catch what happened. It looked to be very, very minor. Paddy Woodgate goes down, clutching his face. David Goff is looking straight at whatever is after happening. David Goff is looking straight after it, and straight away it was interesting. Actually, the Kildare physio and the Kildare doctor were straight up to run onto him, and David Goff is straight over, ushering them off the pitch and telling Paddy Woodgate to get up. I'm not sure what happened there. He actually gave Paddy Woodgate a yellow card for feigning injury. I'm not sure if that's what happened in this scenario, but I do definitely think it's something that's creeping into Gaelic games. And if David Goff has seen something and think that Paddy Woodgate is making a meal of it, then I think it's the right decision. But I think more refs need to do that going forward to stamp out kind of the play act, and that's happening a lot.
Overall, this whole league campaign, look, regards football, it's the best competition we have in the game. And from what you've seen in this league campaign, Division 1, for you, where do you think the game is? And look, should we be looking at moving this competition to the summer?
Look, I think it's something you can talk about all day. Like it's amazing that probably one of the best Sundays in the year is over now. There was so much going on there in the last couple of minutes. We were trying to keep in tune with what was happening in all the games. And it's mad to think such an exciting Sunday like that is nearly gone under the radar to such an extent. Especially with TV coverage. I know you can't show them all, but it's just. It is something that needs to be looked at, definitely. It's just the excitement and even the quality that was on show here today. It's weird to think now we're going back to provincial championships where that quality mightn't be there definitely early on. You know what I mean? So after a Division 1, a league campaign where there has been a lot of good football in difficult conditions, especially around the first 3 or 4 rounds in the league. It was nearly seen that there was a storm every weekend. Thankfully, things picked up in the couple of weeks after that. And like I said, some of the football I've seen there, that was probably some of the best football I've seen in a long time. So plenty to be positive, some really interesting things to look forward to for next weekend as well. Obviously Mayo Kerry, that's going to be a huge game now. That's going to be the talk of the country for the week, I think. Really exciting game. Two teams who Mayo back into form today, obviously been slightly off for the last couple of weeks. Kerry are the form team in the country and have been the best team in the league, so it's going to be all to play for next weekend.
Well, if you were listening to the football pod during the week with James O'Donoghue and Paddy Andrews, James O'Donoghue was telling us Mayo don't want to be in a league final. They are now in that league final, and as you mentioned, it's one to look forward to. What do you expect them?
It's so hard to know. Hopefully we get that Mayo team that showed up there today. I knew with the team James Horan picked that he wanted to be in the team today, in the league final next week. Obviously there was a couple of changes in that. I just wondered, did he tailor training during the week? Maybe they might have just came down a small bit there definitely seemed like there was more energy about them today. There's no doubt about that. There was way more energy, a lot more quality in their play. So I think they did want to get to league final next week, but now they're in it. It's a totally different scenario. Obviously you're going up there playing Kerry. It's going to be a very different game than what happened in Tralee there 2 or 3 weeks ago, and especially in the weather conditions and everything. I think the Mayo team will look very different as well. Kerry possibly might have a couple of players back. I think Gavin White might have been on the 26th today, so they're going to have a couple more boys back as well. So look, it's a really exciting game to look forward to, and hopefully we get a cracking game of football.
And finally, last question regards that game: who do you expect Mayo to put on David Clifford if he is starting?
It's very hard to know. Oisin Mullins got the task down Tralee last week, and you'd have to say David Clifford definitely got the better of him. I think it's an interesting one. I think he might go Pádraig O'Hara. A lot of people saying it's not an ideal matchup for Pádraig, just with height and speed of Clifford and whatnot. Look, I think Pádraig is the type of player doesn't care who he's marking. I'd probably go with him for next weekend.